Hey everybody, so by now, unless you're living under a rock or you don't come on the internet, you have already heard about the Tesla Cybertruck. Now just about everything about the Cybertruck has been talked about, how much it'll haul, how far it will drive, but there's one thing I haven't seen much of and I want to talk about it in this video, and that is how the Cybertruck is going to be off-road. So we'll go over all the off-road specifications, we'll compare them to some of today's off-road mainstays to really see how this Tesla truck is gonna handle on the trail. And then of course, we have to talk about this thing, the Tesla Cyberquad. That's coming up at the end of this video, so make sure you stay tuned. So first, before off-road, let's just quickly go over towing and payload. Now, Elon Musk, Tesla CEO, said that the Cybertruck is going to be able to tow a maximum of 14,000 pounds when you get the properly equipped model, and payload is going to come in at a pretty stalwart 3,500 pounds. So there's no doubt that the Cybertruck is apparently going to be able to work pretty hard. But what about off-road? Now let's go over the numbers. And actually, just at first glance, the numbers here actually seem pretty decent. So every single Cybertruck will come with standard air suspension. That is first of all. So even the base truck, you're gonna get air suspension, and Tesla says you can lift this thing up to 16 inches of ground clearance. Now, the other good thing about an electric vehicle like this is underneath it allows you to have a totally flat surface. So basically that's a true 16 inches once you jack it right up. Tesla also announced approach and departure. So for approach, we're talking about 35 degrees and departure 28 degrees. Breakover angle, it was not announced by Tesla, and that's probably because the wheelbase was also not announced. So we don't know how long the wheelbase is gonna be. We do know though, the overall length and width of the Cybertruck, and it's actually very similar to the F-150, so we can probably assume that the wheelbase for like a crew cab F-150 will be similar to Cybertruck, but we don't know that yet. Now, if we're talking about length, the Cybertruck comes in at 231.7 inches, while width, we're talking about 79.8 inches. And comparing that to the Ford F-150 Raptor, that is within half an inch in both length and width. So how does that F-150 Raptor stack up to Cybertruck? Well, the Ford has 11.5 inches of ground clearance, and of course that is not adjustable, so Tesla takes it there. Now, talking about approach angle on the F-150, we have 30.2 degrees and a departure of 23 degrees. So actually all of the off-road numbers on the Tesla are even better than the F-150 Raptor. Now we have to talk about all-wheel drive, and first let's go over the pricing because these two things play in together. So pricing for the Cybertruck is going to begin at $39,900 according to Elon Musk, but that base version is only going to have a single electric motor and it's going to be rear wheel drive. Probably not the one you want to get for off-roading. Now you bump up to a $49,900 mid-range model. Now you're getting the dual electric motors, and that thing is all-wheel drive. Finally, the top end of the spectrum is going to cost just a hair under $70,000. That is the tri-motor truck. There's 3 electric motors, once again with all-wheel drive. Now, Tesla didn't specifically talk about its all-wheel drive system, but when you have electric motors, it allows you to send whatever amount of torque to each wheel is necessary. So basically, this all-wheel drive system should be pretty sophisticated, and it should allow Tesla to always make sure you have traction at the wheel that needs it. So one of the biggest hurdles for electric vehicles off-road still has to be range, and actually that goes for on-road as well. So Cybertruck is going to have 250 miles of range at the base version, up to 300 miles on the mid-range version, and then over 500 miles of range for the top tri-motor version. Now Tesla said 500 plus miles. Who knows how much that plus really is, but if they can actually get this thing to 500 miles, that will be very impressive. For those of you into overlanding, well, it looks like Tesla has thought of that as well. You can see right from this photo they revealed to us during the launch, there's already a tent that has been designed for the back end of the Cybertruck. And it does actually look pretty cool, and actually thanks to its angular design, there is definitely a lot of space in the bed. Tesla actually calls it the vault of the Cybertruck, but back there in the bed, it does look quite spacious, and once you stick that tent on there, you know, you can get out there there, hit the trail, and stay out overnight. And of course, by now you're saying, well, how are you going to recharge? Well, Tesla did think of that as well. One of the options that's going to be available is a tonneau cover that is a solar panel. Now, of course, that won't produce a ton of power, but it would probably be enough in a pinch to get you out of a tough situation out off-road. By now, you're already saying, why the heck does it look like that? And there's no doubt that this design is polarizing. Now, the exterior of the truck, what you're looking at is actually its own exoskeleton, its own frame, and it is made with high-strength steel and stainless steel, and according to Elon Musk, you can't actually use a press to form this steel. That's why this thing is so angular, because they just couldn't bend it even if they wanted to. Now that brings up a lot of really interesting questions. The biggest one in my mind is crash regulations. How is this thing going to be able to pass crash regs if it is actually that hard? There was no real bumper apparent up front, so it's kind of hard to say how it will pass those pedestrian safety regulations. There's a lot of different questions. I do have a theory though I'd like to share with you guys. So one of the things you could do in theory is push this vehicle up to a GVWR, a gross vehicle weight rating of over 10,000 pounds. You only have to go to 10,001 in the GVWR. Now that would technically make it a 3/4 ton vehicle, similar or on par with a 3/4 ton truck. And that means that crash regulations, safety regulations, and fuel economy testing all changes. Well, second you bump up into that class, a lot of that stuff goes away. Now, this is actually the same strategy used by Bollinger for their B1 and B2. Those are also technically in that 3/4 ton range, which means they don't have to have airbags, things like that. So I'm not saying this is what Tesla is doing, but it is one avenue they could explore to maybe get around some of those crash regs. If they don't go that way, well, I predict that the design that we see today will not be the design that comes out when this thing is actually on sale, but that remains to be seen. Now, that's enough there. On to the Cyberquad. It seems like lately we've been talking about a lot of electric power sports machines or even hybrid power sports machines, and now we have another one joining the fray. So at the event, at the reveal event for the Cybertruck, right at the end, Elon did the classic Apple move, oh, one more thing, and then brought out the Cyberquad. Now, we didn't really see any details on the Cyberquad, we didn't get too close to it, and they didn't actually release any details, so we don't know what is powering this thing. All we know is that it's going to be an all-electric ATV. You can plug it in the bed of the Cybertruck to its 110 or 240 volt outlets. That's pretty cool. We also know that at the very beginning, Cyberquad will only be available as an option with the Cybertruck. So if you want to go buy one, you won't be able to buy one without getting a truck first. Now, I can also let you guys in on a bit of a secret. This ATV you see right here, this is the one used at the reveal event. And apparently, according to some pretty eagle-eyed journalists, it's actually just a Yamaha Raptor 700 underneath. If you compare all the running gear on this thing and the Raptor, it is identical. So this actual quad we're looking at, yeah, it's probably just a concept, just a Raptor with new skin on it. So once again, when this thing actually comes to fruition and is real, it probably won't look exactly like this, but it will definitely be interesting to follow the progress. And you know what? If Tesla's cars are any indication, I actually think that the Cyberquad could come along and really shake things up in the off-road world. So when will you be able to actually get a Cybertruck? Well, Tesla says that this thing will be roaming the streets by late 2021, and it will be a 2022 model. So guys, that's it for this video. I think the Cybertruck is definitely super interesting. I still think it'll be maybe not exactly like it is now once it hits production, but we have to track this thing and see exactly where Tesla goes with it. And then that Cyberquad, I'm excited for that too. And on a sort of a bigger note, just excited for the world of electric off-road vehicles because it feels like it's coming. And honestly, now with these updates, it feels like it's coming pretty quick. So guys, make sure you go below, leave a comment on the Cybertruck, let me know what you think of it, hit like, hit subscribe, and then come right back to the channel for the latest news, views, and real world reviews.